Chapter 5 of The Eternal Ones by Kirsten Miller. I need to find a different way to show it since it's gonna be backwards this way. Oh well. I almost knocked the camera over. Alright, Chapter 5. Haven and Beau had been trawling the gossip pages for over an hour when her grandmother's car rolled into the driveway. Magazines still littered the living room floor, and as the Cadillac's engine died, Haven scrambled to return them to her mother's room. I'm gonna yawn. Two car doors slammed, and they heard the clicking of high heels on asphalt. Why is he always here? When Imogen Snively didn't bother to whisper, Haven knew the pastor had stayed behind at church. Certain less admirable sides of her grandmother's personality were reserved for those closest to her. Please, Haven's mother tried to keep her voice low. He'll hear you. We're on my property, May, Imogen pointed out at top volume. I'll say what I like. Don't go just yet, Haven pleaded with Beau, who'd started to gather his things. We haven't done any work, and we've got Morgan's fitting tomorrow. Then maybe we should work at my house tonight. The boy straightened his posture and plastered a pleasant smile on his face. Mrs. Snively, Mrs. Moore, he said as he plastered a pleasant smile on his face. Mrs. Snively, Mrs. Moore, he said as he opened the front door and let the two women pass, the younger trailing the older like his shadow. Hey there, Beau. Haven's mother couldn't hide her embarrassment, and her first smile seemed more like a grimace. You have to leave so soon? I was just fixing to make some supper. Imogen turned a hard eye on her daughter. Let the boy go, May. We've got things to discuss as a family. I appreciate the invitation, ma'am, Beau said, gracefully pretending he hadn't heard the old lady, but I do need to leave. My dad's probably wanting his lunch by now. 6 o'clock suit you, Haven? Sure, Haven managed a weak smile, already dreading what she knew would come next. As soon as the door shut, Haven's mother wheeled around to face her. Haven, you want to come with me to my sitting room? May, would you excuse us? Neither sentence was a question. Haven looked to her mother, who stood frozen with indecision, trying to determine whether this was a battle she should choose to fight. Haven knew there was no point waiting for her mother to come to her rescue. May Moore could stay frozen for weeks at a time. Haven and her grandmother assumed their usual positions in the sitting room. In her high, wing-back chair, Imogen Snively sat with the pinched nose and perfect posture of a meerkat. Haven sank into the center of her overstuffed sofa. On the table between them, a lush bouquet of wildflowers that May Moore had gathered slowly suffocated Haven with its cloying scent. Do you really think it's a good idea to keep spending time with that Decker boy in your condition? Haven snorted and shook her head, half relieved that they were still on familiar ground. He's gay, Imogen. He's hardly contagious. And what condition are you talking about? So I fainted. Big deal. You know I forget to eat when I'm working, or who knows, maybe I'm pregnant. Imogen's eyes narrowed. You're not well, Haven. I feel perfectly fine. You know that's not what I mean. You remember what you said during your fit? She didn't. You said Ethan. Haven tried not to panic, but she felt herself beginning to flush, and she knew the telltale crimson blotches would soon follow. There was no way her grandmother would miss them. When did you start having the visions again? I haven't had any visions. I just passed out, that's all. You're lying, Haven. I can always tell. And I won't let you go off to college if you're seeing or hearing. But Grandma, don't interrupt me. Dr. Tidmore and I had a talk after church today. I want him to see if he can stop all this before it gets out of control again. I'm afraid you're going to have to stay here with us a little while longer. But Grandma, Haven pleaded, her desperation growing. As she scooted forward to the edge of her seat, her knees knocked the coffee table and the flower vase nearly toppled. I swear there's nothing wrong. It's been forever since I fainted. This was just a freak accident. You can't stop me from going to school in the fall. I can't let you go, Haven. You're not strong enough to resist. The sins of the flesh are a constant temptation. Oh, sorry, Brexia.
I'm sorry, buddy.
There we go. The sins of the flesh. Oh, wow, hello. Okay. Oh, yeah. So they say, Haven muttered under her breath. Over the years, she had heard stories about her grandmother's wild ways in the years before she found the Lord. The 6-month span between her grandparents' wedding and birth of their daughter seemed to confirm at least one of the rumors. But Haven had never summoned the courage to confront Imogene with the facts. "Excuse me?" "Nothing," Haven said with a sigh. "I thought so," Imogene said. "You are your father's child, Haven, and you saw what happened to your daddy when he couldn't resist the demon of lust. I'm sorry, but it's my job to protect you." She wasn't sorry. That much was clear. Haven stood up and glared down at the old woman. "You're sure this isn't just an excuse to keep me here?" she asked in a slow, steady voice. "Look at yourself in the mirror, Haven, and tell me if I need an excuse." Haven reluctantly turned toward the mirror over the fireplace. The flush had scaled her neck, and she watched in horror as it crept up over her cheeks. "I'm calling that Fashion Institute in the morning. They'll refund our payment when I tell them you're ill. And may I remind you, Haven, I am your legal guardian. Until you are 18, you're my responsibility." Haven's 18th birthday was 10 months away. And that is the end of chapter 5.